Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Palm Beach Podcast. Today we'll be interviewing this young student about their CCR3. Let's begin. What's the main question you're answering?
Well, the main question I'm answering is how my production skills developed throughout the project.
That's quite an intense question. Let's dive deeper though and get more specific. How did your research skills develop?
During this project, I have learned to identify the most professional and credible sources. This has helped me write reliable information in my blogs. I've developed my skills and now can tell which sites are good based on their URL, such as .gov, .edu, and .web. Sites created by a college professor or scientist always have the best information. For example, I understood my genre's conventions by reading essays from media professors.
Understood. Now what about your planning skills?
Planning these components was fairly simple, and the fact that their layouts are similar. To help though, I browsed through the internet and found professional magazines for food. I would write down the elements that they use, and this was a big factor in creating my components. The things I referenced from these professional blogs were either the layout, the font, or the colors. Another part of planning was going through the conventions of my genre. This would allow me to stay focused on what my piece should end up looking like.
Wow, it seems like you've learned quite a lot. Have your skills developed in creating these components?
Yes, the first step to creating these components was to make a couple mock-ups before my final version. I would create roughly 2 to 3 mock-ups, and this would allow me to try out my ideas. It would act as a sandbox for my imagination. After making these mock-ups, I would pick the best looking one and build upon it. I would take elements from professional magazines and add them to mine. During all this, I used my skills in Canva to design each one. Along the way, I discovered the website Pixlr, which is a free image editing software. This allowed me to edit my images so they fit perfectly into my component. I've done some previous editing and creating posters, so these softwares were not difficult to use.
I know a big part of a project like this is receiving feedback. How did your skills develop when receiving this feedback?
Reflecting on what you have completed is a necessary process to continue doing great. After each step, look back on what you've done and then continue forward. This makes you realize how much work you've actually done. It clears your thoughts and allows you to be the most focused version of yourself. Also, reflecting requires you to think back on previous assignments, and this could help you realize that you could have forgotten something. You can then go back and make all your work perfect.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I think we've learned a lot about your project and how it was like and how you grew during it. Come back next week for another interview.